Okay. Okay, we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 14, verses 13 and 14. Verse 13, Jagat Trayanto Dahi Samplabode Narayana Syodara Na Binalat Vinirgato Jastviti Vanna Vaimrisha Kin Visharatvanna Vinirgatosmi. Translation. That's Lord Brahma praying to Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna. He's continuing his prayers after being bewildered. He says, my dear Lord, it is said that when the three planetary systems are merged into the water at the time of dissolution, your plenary portion, Narayana, lies down on the water. Gradually, a lotus flower grows from his navel, and Brahma takes birth upon that lotus flower. Certainly, these words are not false. Thus, am I not born from you? So Lord Brahma is saying, please, I beg forgiveness, I'm your son. Don't be too hard on me. I'm your son. Am I not your son? And that's the prayer. Hare Krishna Prabhu, what's your name? Bhuve. Hare Krishna, Ananda. Thank you for coming. Purport by humble servants of Srila Prabhupada. Although every living being is a child of God, Lord Brahma here makes a special claim because he takes birth on a lotus flower that emanates from the navel of Narayan, the personality of Godhead. It doesn't say the supreme personality of Godhead, it says the personality of Godhead, because we know that the supreme personality of Godhead is the blue boy, right? Interesting. Ultimately, all living beings are equally expansions of the transcendental body of the Supreme Lord. All living beings are equally expansions of the transcendental body of the Supreme Lord. But Brahma has an intimate relationship with the Lord because of the activities of universal creation. And so he uses the prefix V in the word vinirgata to beg the Lord's special mercy. I looked that up, and V means coming from, and nirgata also means coming from. So vinirgata means I'm coming from you. I'm your son, your son. So he's emphasizing that I'm coming from you, so I beg for special mercy. Lord Brahma is called Aja because he's not born of any mother, but rather emanates directly from the body of the Lord. As Srila Prabhupada states in Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna book, it is naturally concluded that the mother of Brahma is Narayan. On these grounds, Lord Brahma is requesting special forgiveness for his offenses. He was trying to test Krishna's power. Then he got bewildered, defeated by Krishna, and he took that defeat gratefully. He was gratefully defeated by Krishna. And then after being defeated by Krishna, he's offering him prayers. So on these grounds, Lord Brahma is requesting special forgiveness for his offenses. So you see, the disciples of Srila Prabhupada who produced this purport, they are quoting Srila Prabhupada. So it's not that they are laying out their own great thoughts here. They're quoting the previous acharyas. That's our method. Okay, verse 14, which is going to translation and purport. Lord Brahma, are you not the original Narayana or supreme controller, since you are the soul of every embodied being in the eternal and the eternal witness of all created realms? Indeed, Lord Narayana is your expansion, and he is called Narayana because he's the generating source of the primeval water of the universe. He is real, not a product of your illusory Maya. So Lord Brahma is saying that I'm coming from Narayana, and Narayana is real, not a product of your illusory Maya. My father is legit, therefore I'm legit in some way. So this is what he's saying here. Purport. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila, chapter 2, text 30, Srila Prabhupada comments on this verse as follows. This statement, which is from Srimad Bhagavatam 10:14-14, that's our verse today, was spoken by Lord Brahma in his prayers to Lord Krishna after the Lord had defeated him by displaying his mystic powers. Krishna recreated his friends and calves to every particular detail. And that was the mystic power that Krishna manifested. Brahma had tried to test Lord Krishna to see if he was really the Supreme Personality of Godhead, playing as a cowherd boy. Brahma stole all the other boys and their calves from the pasturing grounds, but when he returned to the pastures, he saw that all the boys and calves were still there, for Lord Krishna had created them all again. When Brahma saw this mystic power of Lord Krishna, he admitted defeat and offered prayers to the Lord, addressing him as the proprietor and seer of everything in the creation. See, we're not the proprietor or the seer of everything in the creation. The proprietor and the seer is Krishna. And as the super soul who is within each and every living entity and is dear to all, so Lord Brahma acknowledges that. That Lord Krishna is Narayan, the father of Brahma, because Lord Krishna's plenary expansion, Garbha Kashaya Vishnu, after placing himself on the Garbha ocean, created Brahma from his own body. Mahavishnu, the causal ocean, and Kshirdakashaya Vishnu, the super soul in everyone's heart, are also transcendental expansions of the supreme truth. In his commentary on this verse, Srila Sanatana Goswami has elaborately explained the expansion of the Vishnu or Narayana incarnations from the original form of Godhead, Lord Krishna. The essence is that although Lord Brahma was born from Lord Narayana, Brahma now understands that Narayana is himself a mere expansion of the original personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. Okay. End of the purport by humble servants of Srila Prabhupada. Om Jnanatimyandasya Gnanjala Shalakaya Chakshulun Militamina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master is opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him again and again and again. What's that verse? By regular attendance. Nastapriya Shubhadrishu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavate Tamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the personality, to a pure devotee, everything that is troublesome to the heart becomes almost completely destroyed. And the truth about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, praised in transcendental songs like the ones Adipusha Prabhu sings every morning, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Hare Krishna. I'd like to beg your blessings, especially Adipusha Prabhu, begging your blessings so I can speak in line with Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. And again, thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. Gailey's joining us. Recording is going. Okay. What's your name, Prabhu? Rupesh. Hare Krishna. Welcome. Thank you for coming. Okay. And today is the disappearance day of Srila Prabhupada's Guru, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and we are fasting till noon. We're fasting till noon. Fasting till noon. And we're going to discuss some of his pastimes today. So in today's verse, Lord Brahma is saying that I am coming from Narayana and Narayana is coming from you. And the disciples of Srila Prabhupada explain how, what was that? Whose commentary was that? Srila Sanatana, yes, Srila Sanatana Goswami has elaborately explained the expansions of Vishnu. And so these expansions of Vishnu, Sharadakashaya Vishnu, Garbhadakashaya Vishnu, and Karnadakashaya Vishnu are all Purusha avatars. There's different types of avatars. So those are Purusha avatars. Vishnu expansions. So there is this big Mahavishnu, and from his pores, that's the sweating Vishnu, Karnadakashaya Vishnu. He's sweating, and from his pores, all the universes are coming. That's Mahavishnu. Maha means great. So Mahavishnu. And he breathes out, and Lord Brahma lives during one breath. When he breathes in, then everything gets annihilated. So that's Mahavishnu, big Vishnu. Then comes Garbhadakashaya Vishnu. Garbha means womb. That's the milk ocean Vishnu. The universe is like an egg, and half of it is filled with water. And in this water, we have Garbhadakashaya Vishnu, and from his navel grows a lotus flower, and then on top of that lotus flower sits Lord Brahma. He takes birth from that flower. And then Lord Brahma is a secondary creator of the universe. All right, so, and then Kshirodakashaya Vishnu, the third type of Vishnu, that's the super soul in our heart. And there's a story, and then sometimes immature devotees may debate who is the supreme. Is Krishna coming from Vishnu, or Vishnu is coming from Krishna? And so it is said, Sutta Goswami quotes the Bhagavatam 1.3.28. All the incarnations are either plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions of the Lord, but Lord Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. All of them appear on planets whenever there is a disturbance created by the atheists. The Lord incarnates to protect the theists, the devotees. So it says that Lord Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, but still, when we're talking about Lord Vishnu, it's like you have the original candle, and it kindles all other candles. They all have the same potency, but the original candle still, that's Krishna, the original candle. That's our analogy. So it's not that they are lesser. When we're talking about Vishnu, Narayana, that's Krishna, same personality. But sweet baby Krishna right there, that's the original candle. That's the analogy used in the scriptures to describe this. And there's also one story in Krishna book where there was a Brahmana, like a teacher type personality, and he was trying to conceive a child with his wife. And every time the wife would give birth, the child would die, one after the other. And you know this story, nice, yeah. So every time that happened, the husband, the Brahmana, the teacher, he would go where? Where would he go? To the king to complain. King, this is your fault that the child is no longer alive. The child died, and the king would accept responsibility for it. So one time, I think it was the 6th or the 9th child or something like that. He comes to the king and said, "Come on now, my 9th child is now dead. It's your fault." And then Arjuna, Krishna's friend, was present there, and he said, "No, I mean, Kshatriyas are there. I'm as a Kshatriya, I will protect your child. So go try again, and I will protect the next child." And so the Brahmana went back, they tried again, there was a child, and the child disappeared, mystically. And the Brahmana was like, "What? And the Brahmana started to blame Arjuna, and started to blame Krishna. And then Krishna took Arjuna. And then Arjuna said, okay, I'm taking my life unless I can bring this child back to life. I gave my word, I'm a Kshatriya, I'm going to give up my life because if I fail to deliver on my promise. And then him and Krishna go through the layers of the universe. They meet different demigods, and no one has the child. And finally, they reach Mahavishnu, the big sweating Vishnu, the giant Vishnu, who is emanating all the universes. And that Mahavishnu happens to have the child. All 9 children were with him, grown up a little bit. And Arjuna says, what is this? Why? You know, that guy there is like suffering, he's going through hell. And Mahavishnu smiles. That's what Krishna does, he smiles right there. Whatever happens, Krishna smiles. So Mahavishnu gives him a big smile and says, yeah, I just wanted to I took all these children, I stole all of them just to play a trick and to have Lord Krishna's association. I could not summon him because he's the boss. So I had to play a trick to have, to see Krishna face to face. So that's a little story that illustrates this Vishnu-Krishna relationship. So I'll describe that. So now we're going to switch gear. Today is the disappearance of Srila Prabhupada's guru, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He's right next to Srila Prabhupada. He's got books next to him. That grave-looking gentleman, that's him. So we're going to talk about his last days. This is our pramana. We're not talking from the top of our head. We're going to read from the book and discuss. Today we have to make a hard stop at 8 o'clock because I have to jump on another call. So I'll open it up for discussion, and then we'll make a hard stop after darshan, after Krishna sees us. So Srila Saraswati Thakur's health was declining externally. He was all lila. When we're talking about acharyas and great teachers, it's not that they are afflicted by pangs and illnesses of this world, of this realm. They're not affected by that. But externally, that's how the lila goes. His disciples, they would call doctors. They called the doctors when the health rapidly declined. They called the doctor in the city to treat his Guru Maharaj. And then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati informed each of them, from the doctors, of the temporality of the body and the need to perform Hari Seva. So next time we have a health problem and the doctor comes, or we go to see the doctor, we should immediately inform the doctor of the temporality of this realm and the necessity to perform Hari Seva. Hari Seva is devotional service. So that's a reminder for us. That's what our acharyas did, and Srila Prabhupada did the same thing. And when the doctor wanted to give him an injection, Srila Saraswati Thakur protested. Why are you disturbing me in this way? Simply chant Harinam, Krishna's name, that's all. Of course, we're not trying to imitate this. Sometimes injection may be necessary, but the principle is there. Our focus should be on our bhajana. Chant Harinam, chant the holy name, that's all. About 10 days before his disappearance, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati stated that he had much service to perform in Vrindavan. He said, I am not done with my services. I have some things to do in Vrindavan. But because of internal quarrels in the month, in his organization, in his movement, his life was being shortened by 10 years. So he said, because my disciples are fighting, because my disciples are not getting along, my life is shortened by 10 years. So here's the instruction for us. Let's not fight. Let's not quarrel. Let's get along. Let's not shorten our Guru's manifested presence in this realm. So it correlates with Srila Prabhupada's final instruction. He said, cooperate. If you want to please me, cooperate. It's austere, it's difficult to cooperate with Adipurusha Prabhu. I'm joking. Very, very purifying cooperation. But we have to do it to please Srila Prabhupada. Raghunath Maharaj once shared to, I believe, Ganesham, he said, do you think I enjoy going to all these GBC meetings, all these committees, and dealing with temple properties and court cases and decisions and judgments in the movement? Do you think I really enjoy it? It's not that I go there and I execute and manifest my authority. I go there to serve Prabhupada. It's an austerity for me, those duties. So we have to cooperate even though it's austere. I called on the phone, called a devotee to ask about something, and then she started crying. And then every time that happens, I'm just disarmed. I don't know what to do. It's like the worst. I don't know what to say when they start crying. And then, so my wife jumped on the call and said, hey, what's happening? Why are you crying? And this devotee said, there's this injustice, everything is backwards in our temple. I'm not going to specify which temple it is. It's not in this universe. It's in the parallel universe somewhere. But she was saying, there's an injustice going on in the temple, and the temple authorities are not doing anything. And I said, Chinmay Radha said, yes, this is an injustice. This is an injustice. You should go to the temple president and tell him that this is going on, and maybe he'll take care of it. And the crying devotee said, I've already tried. All he does, he throws shlokas at me. So he quotes shlokas. And I was like, and I was witnessing this conversation. I was like, but shlokas, but that's the truth. You know? And I've been thinking about this phrase that she said. He's throwing shlokas at me. He's not going to do anything. He's going to throw a bunch of shlokas at me. Krishna is God. It's coming from Krishna. You have to put up, keep your service going. And I was like, but what's wrong with that? You know, it's true. So finally, the devotee calmed down, and I jumped in and I quoted Srila Prabhupada saying that Srila Prabhupada wanted us to cooperate. Let's work together. Don't walk away from your service. Don't walk away from the temple. Do what you can. And it wasn't like something grave. It wasn't like child abuse or money mismanagement or something like that. It wasn't anything criminal. It was just an ego clash. Who's the authority here? Some devotees were feeling like they were run over, walked over. So it wasn't a very big deal to me. But the devotee felt that way, felt neglected. So we talked about cooperation, that it may be difficult, but to please Srila Prabhupada, to prolong the life of our Guru, to not shorten it, we should do it. We should cooperate. And talking about throwing shastras, throwing shlokas at devotees, that's, you know, when Adipurusha Prabhu throws shlokas at me, my ego protests. But my false ego protests, is protesting against that. But then afterwards, I come to this simple realization. It's just the truth. You know, what can you say? What can you object? It's the truth. Let's work together. Let's keep working together. Let's not drop our service. And shlokas are there. That's what Srila Prabhupada gave us. That's his gift. He put so much blood, sweat, and tears into making these shlokas available for us. So there's nothing wrong with shlokas, but there also has to be some act of care, like down-to-earth care. Srila Prabhupada would always care for the devotees who were in difficulties. He would give money, he would give medicine, he would do those things. And the shlokas were there as a primary treatment. That's the ultimate solution. Shlokas, the shastra, the scripture. Scripture. When you quote a verse from scripture, that's shloka. Okay. And then, Srila Prabhupada's guru left his final remarks, final message. He said, I have upset many persons' minds. Many might have considered me their enemy, like I consider Adipurusha Prabhu my enemy when he corrects me, when he throws shlokas at me. Because I was obliged to speak the plain truth. The plain truth. Adipurusha Prabhu never hesitates to speak the plain truths to me. Of service and devotion towards the absolute Godhead, without any desire for gain, with unalloyed devotion. Surely someday they will be able to understand that. So he said, I was a little rough, I was a little straightforward and blunt. Some devotees may consider me their enemy, but surely someday they will be able to understand that. So I hope someday I will be able to understand Adipurusha Prabhu's corrections and love and chastisements. Adipurusha Prabhu. Thank you. Please forgive me for resisting. So here, and then he says, do not be disappointed that most people in the world do not accept topics of unduplicitous Krishna seva, service, devotional service to Krishna. Do not forsake your own bhajana, your own chanting of Krishna, Katha Shravana, Kirtana. Do not give up devotional service, which is your all in all. This is your all in all. With humility like a straw and forbearance like a tree, we should always perform devotional service. We do not aspire to be any kind of heroes of karma or dharma. Karma, dharma. Karma means I want some fruit, I want something in return. That's karma. I'm going to work hard and then enjoy hard. That's karma. And dharma means I'm very righteous, I do everything properly, and I'm entitled to some kind of benedictions. So here he says, we do not aspire to be any kind of heroes of karma or dharma. We aspire to become dust. We're not karma dharma heroes. We aspire to become dust at Sri Rupa Raghunath's lotus feet, at our Acharya's lotus feet. I'm not here to be a hero. I'm aspiring to become dust. I am dust. The Bhakti Vinod Dhara means stream. The Bhakti Vinod Dhara will never stop. In other words, the stream of devotion will never stop. The stream of devotional service. With all your energy, devote yourself to fulfilling the desire of Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, the previous Acharya. So, and he says, our only motto is, taking a blade of grass between my teeth, I fall down and pray again and again to become dust at Srimad Rupa's lotus feet, birth after birth. There is no need either to be overwhelmed by multiple inconveniences while we're in this mortal domain. So there's no need to either be overwhelmed or to overcome the inconveniences. This is an interesting concept. If you're experiencing a difficulty, there's no need to overcome or become overwhelmed. And he says, focus on what we shall gain after surpassing all those difficulties. And what shall be the mode of our permanent existence. In other words, concentrate on devotional service. Don't try to overcome or solve all the problems in the world. Concentrate on devotional service. Our only requirement is to enter into the kingdom of our eternal necessity by going beyond dualities, go beyond pleasure and pain, aversion and affection. We have no love or hatred toward anyone in this world. All arrangements made herein are temporary. All of you should work unitedly and harmoniously for the same objective of attaining eligibility for devotional service. And Srila Prabhupada summarized. And when Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur was on his deathbed, he requested bhajans to be sung, devotional songs. And Sridhar Maharaj started singing. And Kunja Bihari, his servant, directed that he stop. He said, no, you stop. And he invited a reputed, like not a professional singer, but a reputed kirtaniya, Pandavananda Prabhu, to take over. He said, no, you can sing better, so you should sing. He stopped the devotee. He invited a devotee who had a better skill to take over. And Srila Saraswati Thakur then stated that he was not concerned with melodious intonations. He said, I'm not concerned with that. And he brought back Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And he continued chanting. So that's the mood. And then he said, all of you present and absent, accept my blessings. Remember that our sole duty and Dharma, our duty and duty, is to propagate the service to the Lord and his devotees. And Srila Prabhupada summarized on his guru's disappearance in this way. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur came to this in this world to execute the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he executed it. And when it was required, he left this place and went to another place to do what? Can you continue? Can you think like Prabhupada? He says, my guru is done here, and he went on to another place to do what? Yes, to do the same business. Srila Prabhupada said. So my guru is somewhere in another universe doing the same thing. So, in other words, we're not aspiring to get liberated from this difficult realm. We're willing to go to the next place where there's birth and death. To do what? To propagate devotional service to Krishna. That's our duty. And that's what Srila Prabhupada is doing somewhere right now. Adipurusha Prabhu, let me turn the screen.
Hare Krishna, can you hear me okay? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I can remember the first time we had this celebration of the disappearance of Prabhupada's spiritual master. You know, it struck me that Prabhupada had a spiritual master. And his spiritual master has a spiritual master. And his spiritual master has a spiritual master. And that this qualification of guru is that he's actually surrendered to his guru. And there's a connection there. There's the empowerment there. And there's the wisdom being passed down very, very carefully. It says sometimes the analogy is given, if there's a ripe mango at the top of the tree, it's soft and succulent, and they'll have many people go up in the tree to pass down these ripe mangoes, and they carefully pick it and hand it down so that it won't be damaged, right? So we have this grandfather guru and great-grandfather guru and great-great-grandfather. It goes back to Krishna, the original source of all truth and wisdom and everything. So it's kind of, if we want to take up this service that Prabhupada is asking us to do, of giving Krishna consciousness to others, we must surrender to our spiritual master. Otherwise, it's just a phony. The disciplic succession can be broken if we try to leap over our spiritual master to somebody else, or we neglect the present representative of the spiritual master who's right in front of us and try to jump over to the guru. This is my part. This is erroneous. We will not please Krishna. So become the servant of the servant of the servant is very interesting. So who am I serving? Who am I listening to? Who do I allow to speak into my life? Who am I trying to please? You know, without that relationship, you're just flapping in the breeze, like they say. No connection. interesting point that the guru has a guru. Hare Krishna. Or goes to Prabhupada.
It's like you're milking a goat, right?
No,
Like nipples
milking the
on-
nipples
Yeah.
on the neck of a goat. It looks like a nipple, but there's no milk in there, right?
Okay. Would anyone else like to share? We have to come up. We have to come up so that they can hear.
25 people online.
Yeah. No,
They don't have to hear.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I don't know much about it, but I think I read somewhere, maybe in the Bhagavatam, that the cosmic universe is, and the lineage of the bhakti is like an inverted Ashwadha Vruksha, wherein the key root or the main root is Sri Krishna and all his disciples, the lineage goes all the way. So even if you, I mean, like you said, the same anecdote that you shared, example that you showed. So even if you water the tree, it goes all the way to the main root, and that's how the tree nourishes. So when we serve his devotees, then it goes all the way to Krishna, because you cannot go to the main root, you cannot dig the root. So that's how it is. But I think I have a humble novice question from when you are sharing the story of Mahavishnu and Sri Krishna. So Mahavishnu has his own opulence, right? He has his approach to Krishna. So in this story, I'm a bit surprised why. I mean, I understand it's Krishna's miracle, but I'm surprised why Vishnu has to go all the way to kind of get or abducting those 9 sons or 10 sons to bring Krishna to his presence, whereas he could, I mean, he could go to Krishna. I mean, he could request an appointment, go to Krishna. And the other way around, maybe he could feel Krishna, because at the end of the day, Krishna is the man, is the one who is everything, right? But why does he emphasize on in-person meeting with Krishna? I mean, we humans live in a virtual world. We are doing Zoom sessions. But what is he trying to tell us about something in person, like a guru and a shishya's in person importance? Or is he trying to say something?
Yeah. He could have called Krishna on Zoom, but he decided to play this Leela. Adi Pusha. Jeffrey Eckler, what's your answer, by the way? You have any thoughts on that? We have a great thinker on the call.
There's different ways to approach the Lord, but the point is he wanted to see the Lord. And we're warned that some people, they want Ram Raj without Ram. They want the kingdom of God without God. They want to go to the spiritual world and play golf. They're not thinking, go there to please my spiritual master, go there to please Krishna. There's no love there, so without a person to serve, without somebody you're trying to please, it's just disconnected activity, So the thing is that he did want to see Krishna. Right, it could have been done in a different way. Okay, sure. But he didn't want to just even be doing a service without, experiencing the presence of the person who is serving.
So he wanted to see the divine form of Krishna in his presence.
Yeah.
So that's in person, like the
That's
guru and
important.
the. So
That's a beautiful point.
Yeah, he wanted to have some love in exchange with Krishna. He could have meditated on Krishna. It's also love in exchange, but he wanted to have some personal. Jeffrey Eckler, do you have anything to add to this?
Prabhu, I'm embarrassed I missed the question.
I missed the question.
Why did he?
Why did Mahavishnu play this Leela? He could have just invoked Krishna's presence, because they're essentially the same person. He could have just done it differently without stealing someone else's children.
Well, I would assume to engage his devotees in the Leela.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Krishna always has multiple purposes. Anything he does, there's multiple purposes. To please the devotees is one of them always. To chastise the demons, to humble the Brahmana who was blaming everybody. To please Arjuna, Krishna's friend, by showing who Krishna is. And it's fun. And also one of the purposes of the Leelas is to create subject matters for us to discuss in class.
Right. So that all of us are gathered here and our spirits are lifted. The demons inside of us are destroyed.
Yeah.
All of that. Yes.
Now we have a cool Leela to discuss, right? In the first canto, it's described that the purposes, one of the purposes that the Lord has is to create subject matters for us to discuss. Okay, would anyone else like to contribute to class?
Hare Krishna.
You go, Hare Krishna.
Two thoughts in the discussion on Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. One is that regarding cooperation, there's a class that I heard by Kalakanta Prabhu, and he said very nicely that we may observe that in the Krishna consciousness movement in ISKCON, there are issues, there are problems, there are disagreements here and there, quarrels that happen now and then in an institution. And Kalakanta Prabhu said very nicely that when you see that, you can, eventually will depart from this body, come to the gates of the spiritual world, you could say. And you kind of have two options. You'll meet Prabhupada at the end of your life, and you can tell him, yeah, ISKCON had so many problems, I just couldn't work in it. So I decided to leave and do something else. So I hope that was pleasing to you. Or on the other hand, you can stay and you can go to Prabhupada and say, Prabhupada, ISKCON had these issues and problems and it was difficult to work, but I know how important it was for you. And so I stayed and did my best to make it better. And so Kalakanta Prabhu raises the point, which do you think will be more pleasing to Prabhupada? And I think that's a beautiful way to kind of illustrate it. And then the other thought I had on the departure of a Vaishnava is that we see in Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, also in Srila Prabhupada's life, and also in the passing of more recent devotees. Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj comes to mind, for example, and others, Jayananda Prabhu, that the advanced devotee sees his or her departure as an excuse to preach, because they know that their words will carry special potency. So, because someone can preach the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, but when someone's actually coming to the point of death, like, oh, this is for real. This is serious. And so the devotee knows that and uses that just as an excuse to really give out some potent instructions, which I think is a powerful observation. Hare Krishna, thank you for the class, Prabhu.
We take your words very seriously, even though you're not leaving your body yet. Thank you. Okay, darshan time.